Hello and welcome back to my very new channel, the Shawl Knitter Unplugged. My name is Sita and I'm coming to you from South Africa. It's winter here right now and it's a very gloomy, rainy day today. So I've tried to find a bright spot in which to record this little video. So I'm a shawl knitter, I'm a knitter. I'm a textile designer, I spin yarn, I dye yarn, and I love shawls. I love wearing shawls, I love making shawls, and I sell my work. I have some fabulously supportive clients and friends, and yep, shawls are greatly appreciated as it's quite hard to find a beautiful knitted, hand-knitted shawl these days. So, having said all of that, I'd like to jump into what I want to share with you today, which is not really that much about shawls. You can see here I do have a completed shawl, recently completed for a client. It is the Frank shawl by Jorge Locatelli. It is an absolutely gorgeous shawl. It's the third one I've knitted. I'd like to show it to you. It is this gorgeous construction. It's knitted. You knit this first triangle starting here and you get wider and wider. Then you put the stitches on hold. Then you knit the other triangle exactly the same as the first, and then you start at this point, you pick up all the stitches and you knit the final piece, which is the back. Now the construction of the shawl just means that it hangs like an absolute dream, because it's got these points on the side which naturally with the decreases just sit gorgeously on your arms. And yeah, it's once it's there, it ain't going nowhere. So yep, it's lovely. You can wear it just like that. You can snuggle around in it. I've got a very big cowl on at the moment, so it probably looks like a bit of a mess, but yeah, I'm very happy with the colors. They're gorgeous. They were custom dyed for me by one of our local dyers, S. Teresa Yarns. I'll put that name down in the show notes, but she did a very beautiful job. So yep, that's my latest finished object. Well, finished shawl. I don't really like to call them objects. It's a textile, it's a shawl, it's just a beautiful piece of hand knitted fabric. So the other big piece of hand knitted fabric that I've been working on for a while, and it is now complete, is my Scrappy blanket. You know, I ended up with so many, as you can imagine, knitting shawls, so many balls of 10, 12, 20, 30 meters, sorry, not meters, grams of yarn. So I mulled them all together, had a big bag full of yarns, and I just basically picked them out and off I went. And I knitted this blanket, which has turned out very, very nicely. It's actually a pattern, a free pattern on Ravelry called Grandma's Dishcloth. So it's a dishcloth that's knitted from the corner, and it's got this lovely holy border, if you can see. And so you knit from the corner and you just keep on going. The dishcloth you go to 45 stitches, but I think I went to 270, and one could even go further. It's knitted in 2 strands of fingering weight, all mohair. All merino. I haven't used any mohair in this one. And you know, I didn't want to make it huge, so it's a good size for having over the foot of my bed or over my legs when I'm watching TV and when I'm knitting. And it's just this gorgeous rainbow of mild colors. And in fact, I loved it so much, I do love it so much, that at one stage I thought maybe I should just knit it to the end and then pull it out and knit a sweater in this combination. So just knit it and then at the end cast on with that thread and knit it back into a sweater. Anyway, that was a fun idea, but I'm not going to do that because I'm loving it. It's winter, it's warm, and I'm so happy to have it. So that's my Scrappy blanket, which, as I said, is knitted from a dishcloth pattern, and I just thought that was so fun, you know, knitting it from the point. And yeah, you can find that on Ravelry. I'll put that down as well. It's absolutely lovely. I love the colors. Some of this wool I've dyed myself, some are from other local South African dyers, but it's all lovely and soft merino. So that is my Scrappy blanket. Today, however, I would love to talk a bit about sock construction. So in between knitting shawls, I do love knitting socks as well. In fact, I love knitting footwear. And many years back, I had a range of felted slippers that I knitted and then felted and sold them. And they were really gorgeous. Quite a lot of work, but really lovely. And I do love knitting garments for feet, house socks, slippers, tabby socks. I've knitted quite a few. I've knitted this crazy construction toe sock, which you can wear with your thongs, you know, with your slip-slops. It's got this little loop. So that's would be your toes, and this goes between your toes. And it's got this lovely lacy pattern knitted with a merino lace and a mohair in this crazy pink. I haven't really worn it that much yet, but yeah, it's lovely and soft, and I do love them. They're really great fun. It's got a standard reinforced heel and gusset. So I've tried to knit many different heels. You know, I love experimenting. I've done the afterthought. I've done the eye of partridge heel. Many different. I've even done a garter heel, which actually I really quite enjoy. This it's very strong and supportive and thick. This garter heel. This I picked up from Barbara Knit, an Icelandic knitter. She does all her socks with this garter heel. So I just looked up a garter heel on YouTube and just made this kind of fairly vanilla-ish rib sock out of yarn that is all joined together. And yeah, I was a little bit skeptical about this magic knot for joining yarn, but I tried it out and it actually works very well. I've worn these socks quite a lot and they haven't come apart, and the knots don't really bother me at all. I don't feel them, I don't see them, and so far so good. They hold. So this is just a 3x1 rib sock. The top section, I just started the rib in 3x1 and carried on, and then I did this lovely garter heel. I really enjoy this. It's fun. If I'll see if I can find the link for that. And then yeah, and yeah, then ended up with the usual toe and stocking stitch underneath, but that's fun. And of course both these socks are totally different. This is a pair, believe it or not, completely different. So that is those. This is a sock that I'm currently knitting, which is basically a house sock. It's like a shorty, knitted with mohair and lamb's wool. It won't be very strong for wearing in shoes, but you know, I'd wear this actually over other socks to walk around in the house. Again, this is a traditional heel flap and gusset, and it's just a little shorty. It's very warm and lovely. In fact, it's the same combination as the cowl that I'm wearing. I've used the same yarns, the same mohair and the same lamb's wool, which I bought at a thrift shop on a cone. Was very lucky to find that. And this is the Inclinations cowl by Andrea Maury. Mine turned out quite a lot bigger than hers. It's in a half fisherman's rib, and it is so soft and floppy. It's really, really gorgeous. And on a day like today, it just keeps me nice and cozy around my neck. I can even pull it up over my head if I were to go for a walk. I could do something like this and be super cozy because it's really big. So I love the fact that it's large and it's very, very cuddly. So that was something I made a little while ago, just to have a nice cowl that one can just pop on in the winter. So a sock that I'm knitting right now that I'm really intrigued with and would love to share it with you is from a podcast that I watch by a guy by the name of Sam, and his podcast is called An Irish Knitter. He's actually Italian and he lives in Ireland, and he has a great podcast, and he sort of specializes in socks based on historical buildings along the Grand Canal in Venice. He is actually from Venice, and so he designs socks with details that remind him of beautiful buildings on the Grand Canal. And the one I'm knitting is called Cadoro. I'll put that down because I'm probably not saying it right, but it means something about gold. So Cadoro, and it's a fantastic sock. It's got some cables down both sides, 2 cables, and then the other side has 2 cables as well. And he uses this heel construction that his grandmother used to make. And he got hold of one of the socks and he has copied it. And it is fantastic. I think you can possibly see. It looks like a gusset. It looks like a heel and gusset. But the great news is that there we go, you can see the construction. There's the gusset and there's the heel. That it's knitted completely in the round. So you are never picking up stitches along the side and fiddling around and making them fit, and one side looks neat and the other side doesn't. This is just a fantastic circular needle construction where you increase on either side of the one needle. I'd like you to actually take a look at the pattern. It's really divine. So I was watching his podcast and I was intrigued, so I started to knit the sock. I purchased this lovely yarn a while ago, sock yarn, and then I discovered that it was actually blue-faced Leicester, which I've never worked with before. I'm not sure if there is any nylon in here. There may well be, but I bought this online and it didn't have a label. But it's quite, I don't know if it's superwash. It's quite crisp, and I'm sure it's going to block beautifully, but it really, I didn't think it would be suitable for a shawl because it's a little bit rustic, but I'm sure it's perfect for a sock. And I just love the rich tones, the red browns, and there's even a bit of green in here. It's really stunning. And so I thought, well, I'd try out that heel technique, which I'm calling the Italian sock heel. I don't know what Sam would call it. But yes, it's been fun, and I'm taking a slight break from knitting shawls as I've just finished knitting this Frank shawl, which is going to be collected soon. And so I got into knitting some socks, and I hauled out all the socks that I have myself that are knitted. This is actually a mohair and silk merino blend. It seems to be quite strong. It's quite fluffy because it's got merino in it. It's just a little shorty sock with a traditional heel, and then I just brought in a slightly different color for the toe. And it's not really, I wouldn't wear this with my hiking boots, but it's a lovely cozy sock to wear. And then, as I said, this is very successful. This is not self-striping. It's a ball of yarn that I was given that is actually joined pieces with the magic knot for joining yarn, which you can find on YouTube quite easily. But it's hard to trust it. I was a bit nervous that it would come undone, but it hasn't. I also thought it might irritate me if I could feel the knots under my foot, but I can't. So I'm very happy with it. I think I have washed these once, and they've worn pretty well. Just a straightforward merino. I don't think there's any nylon in there whatsoever. So that's basically all I wanted to share with you today. Yeah, go and take a look at the Irish Knitting podcast. It is fascinating. I really enjoy all Sam's creations. He is technically amazing. He can work out patterns and recreate things, and his podcast is lovely. I find I watch quite a few podcasts, and most of them I find very too busy, very noisy and almost hyperactive in a way, which I don't find very relaxing to watch if I'm knitting. But there are a few that I really love, and this is one of them. So I will leave you with that today, and I'll see you again next week. And I'm sure there'll be some new shawls in the making. I am waiting for some custom dyed yarn. I've been a little bit lazy lately. I haven't been doing much of my own dyeing, mainly because my dye pots are a bit low and I need to order more dyes. But, I also like to support our local indie dyers. In South Africa, we have quite a few. We're not really that, we don't have that broad a base to use. We have merino linen, we have merino nylon, we have plain merino, we have tons of gorgeous mohair. But yeah, I would love to get my hands on some yak, merino yak, but obviously that won't be a local produce. We'll have to buy that in, and it takes quite a while for yarn to arrive from further afield, and the import duties are quite high. I guess that is all around the world. So yeah, I hope you have a great week. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and yeah, I hope it inspires you to go and try out the Cadoro socks from the Irish Knitting Podcast. And by the way, he has a giveaway at the moment where he'll be giving away this pattern. So go and watch this episode, which I will put down there, and perhaps you can win the pattern and some beautiful yarn. So take care, everybody. Happy knitting, happy crochet, happy fiber. Play nicely, and thank you for watching.